Man, welcome back.
Howdy.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Like
a little too long.
Like 2 months a while for me. I haven't been here in a while.
I know.
Been absolutely nuts for us here over at Martin Rebuilds the last 2 months, even before. I think I was on during my California trip like 3 months ago or something, and now time has flown. A lot's happened.
It really has. No, it really has.
Sounds like
I saw you might even get a new Lightning today from what I saw on was it today or yesterday? Somebody posted one.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I saw that. I had to comment on that. Just to show, hey, this is what we do. But
I'm guessing that was a pretty extensive repair.
Yeah,
front end.
It kind of looked like it was right up my alley, though. I mean, it was hit pretty good.
Yeah.
It's definitely totaled. That poor guy's, sick. But I like the comment. He's gonna get another one.
I thought, yep, I can definitely agree with that. It's speaking from experience, obviously, but I really I think that's a testament. He had a full blown all airbags,
yep,
sort of thing going on. So yeah. Oh, I forgot.
Or your truck.
Yeah.
Welcome, Chris.
Hey, there he is.
I don't know what was going on, man. I tried to go on my normal link and I couldn't get.
I had the same problem.
I was in a blank studio and then I followed
That's exactly
your link, Martin, and I was in your. I don't know what that was, man. That was some weirdness.
You made it.
What's happening? I made it. Thanks for sending the link there, Martin.
Yeah. We're in. So you're not in as an admin tonight. You're just in as a guest.
No, but then I think I'm in as an admin because I just added myself to the stage and I still have like the comments and the banner and like there's the banner. I don't know. That was the weirdest. It's StreamYard is doing some weird stuff tonight. So
yeah,
I'll figure it out later, but I'm here for now. And I was like, well, I'll get in and I'll figure out the rest later.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I had a hard time getting logged in and just remembering because we haven't podcasted, at least all as a group, in like 2 months. Yeah, I did say, Chris, your mic is a little low. I'm not sure if you can turn it up or something. We're having a little bit of a tough time.
You know what? It was too loud on the last podcast I did, and I turned it down. Maybe I can go to the settings and try to undo that.
Yeah, that might be good to kind of crank it back up a notch or two.
How is that? Is that doing any
better?
There we
go. Yeah, I think we're getting you better now.
Yeah, so, I turned it down for the last podcast, and now I got to kick it back up again. Technology, man, technology.
Definitely.
Turn my light up.
It's the one thing that's going to continue to change is tech. Speaking of that, we can jump right into that. That's a good segue to.
Hey, Matt's in the deal, man. Did we ever get Matt a link to come and join us? Whatever happened? Matt's awake.
He said he was gonna watch, but I don't think he's gonna join in. He's on baby duty. I told him even if he can jump in for a few minutes, please do. But I think he's just a little too busy for us tonight. But maybe he can kind of comment in as we are kind of talking about it.
Yeah, Matt. If you want to jump in, let us know, man. I know you. You're one of the topics that you've got some knowledge about. So
no, I told him too. He can jump in just even on his phone, but maybe it might just be comment only tonight. But that's okay, Matt. We love you, and we're happy for you.
We'll put your comments up so we can at least do some live communication. That's kind of the thing with us. We want to be able to have this feedback from our audience. So, if we're screwing up, you can tell us, hey, you're not doing this right.
Yeah. And Zach, hopefully it's better now. Hopefully you can hear me better. Let me know if it's still all quiet. Some people would say it's a better show when I'm quiet. So
no.
You guys
we need you.
You guys have had a number of shows since I've been on, so I've been very quiet.
Good to have you back, man. I'm glad they let you back in the country. I was worried about you. I thought maybe
we've been all
maybe
over.
You weren't going to admit to us that you got arrested or something. Like, where's Martin? I'm like, I think he's free. Like, maybe he just doesn't want to admit that he needs bail. I don't know.
Oh, man, it's been crazy. So since we've talked, and I've posted on Facebook about it, and I've recorded quite a bit of video. We have been to Canada towing the boat with the Lightning that I finished in record time, like 4 weeks. And then turned around and worked on EverDrive, the generator, while charging, just lights out to like Zach and I till like 2 or 3 in the morning, several nights. in between the 2-week time frame from Canada getting back to Kansas, and then we took off to Colorado, and unfortunately didn't make the trip to Colorado with the generator. We were pushing and pushing every night. I was so exhausted by the time I got to go on vacation. I wasn't even sure I wanted to go. But we did get it done when we got back. So I want to get into that, but that's going to be quite a bit of conversation tonight as far as updating everybody and the status and how it works. But I thought we might jump into the other topics to kind of get those, especially since Matt's on, he's listening in, and talk about EV tires, because we've all gotten, I've gotten new tires, a new set. I didn't even bring that up to you guys. And Chris, have you upgraded tires yet on the Platinum, or are we still running the stocks?
Still running the stocks. I guess I have so many questions, because these tires that, I know Jace posted about and Matt posted about, everybody's all excited about these. And I guess I don't really fully understand. I know, from what I've learned, the size of the tires matter. I know that I've noticed that with mine being 22s, I get on average 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour. On the 20s, I was getting 2.5, keeping in mind that I do a lot of city driving. Yep. So definitely an efficiency loss. I've noticed this on the Model Y that I have, that the 19s are getting better efficiency than the 21s. People talk about the new one that we'll talk about later, where the 18s get more efficiency. So that matters.
Yeah, that rolling mass makes a huge difference. So it's the weight and the rolling resistance of the tire. So there's all those factors that really.
And remember, Chris, too, you should see a little bit lower efficiency anyway, just with it being a Platinum, naturally, because it's a heavier vehicle. So you'll see that as well. Much.
We need to
but it's definitely there. It's there.
There's really, I think hardware differences, not much difference between a Lariat and a Platinum.
Correct.
Yeah, I think the things that are interesting to me are like when I'm looking at different wheel and tire combinations, the kind of understanding, like, AT being, I guess, as all terrain.
Yep.
Versus, like, I've got street tires, but then someone also said my 22s aren't just, like, I feel like the 22s just ride so much worse than my Platinum. And I've been.
Well, you have a smaller sidewall, yeah. So, like, naturally, it's going to have like a harsher ride. Just less sidewall is hard. I noticed that with the GT Mach-E that I just drove this week as well, or last week, I should say, but a bit of this week too. The no sidewall. I mean, you're talking even.
Ours is that way.
You're talking very, like, it's a couple inches,
Our Mustang Mach-E Performance Edition it's got a 19 on it, and there's just very little sidewall. It's pretty hard.
And I think that was too a big complaint, honestly, with the Tesla's ride quality. I don't think it was as much as like that a lot of Teslas had per se bad ride quality. It's just that Tesla chose to go with really big wheels and really skinny sidewalls on a lot of their vehicles, which is why we saw potholes kind of, take advantage of those a lot,
And there's a trade-off there. So when we're talking about picking wheels and tires, you have both ends of the spectrum. You have the end that Chris is on, and that the Tesla, like the turbines on the Tesla that I have here, they look fantastic in my opinion. Those things they're wider tires, they're taller tires, thinner sidewall. Both ends of the spectrum. You have the end that Chris is on, and that the Tesla, like.
Well, sorry, I was trying to reshare the.
I'm hearing
my volume. That's my bad.
Thought I was going crazy for a minute.
That's funny.
So and then the other end of the spectrum, which a lot of guys are going back to like 18s or 19s and doing 35s, or even I seen a guy do some 37s on a Lightning, like that off-road truck. So you're going to have a hit there. And then you're going to have a hit on the other end for being too much rolling mass. So I've seen that the most efficient tire that I've seen on a Lightning is the 18 with the Michelin Primacy. That's kind of been the cream of the crop for efficiency. I personally don't like it. It's not the look that I would want on my truck. So of all the wheels that I could pick out there, I'm honestly still sticking with the factory Lariat wheel. It's grown on me so much. I like it.
Yeah.
So
they're my favorite too. I agree.
So are the factory Lariat wheels also wider than my 22-inch? They're not wider.
No, I don't believe they're technically wider. I think you're just the tire choice is a little skinnier on the Platinum, but I think the rim is the same, which it'll accommodate, I think, a 9.5 to 10.5, or at least,
Yeah,
so
they're a 20x9 wheel. So that's pretty much all Ford wheels in a 20 in the factory year, like a 23 to 25. They're a 20x9. So you can put a 10 or 10.5-inch tire on it. It's going to bow out a little bit, or you can go to a 9-inch wide. It just kind of depends. That, the 275/60 R20 is the factory size for the F-150.
So can you break down those break down those numbers, right? Like when
Okay,
I'm looking at so electrified overlanding, right? And he's meant like 275.
Yeah. So what that is,
that's the stock size, but
yeah, back in the day, it used to be like you get a 35 1250, so a 35-inch diameter, 12.5 inches wide. So now the newer is it's all metric. So the first number is 275 millimeters wide, and the 60 is 60% of that width is your sidewall. So if you do a 275/70, you're going to have a taller tire. If you do a 275/50, you're going to have a shorter tire. The width of the tread will stay the same at 275. So that's 275 millimeters wide. And then the R20 is a 20-inch wheel.
Rim 20, basically.
Yeah.
Think of it that way.
So when people are wanting, if somebody like me wants efficiency and smooth ride versus if somebody wants off-road, what are the numbers? Where do they want the difference to be?
So that's the thing, because you can kind of nowadays there's a lot of different sort of there are, but there's a lot of different options too, and a lot of it's tires is kind of like not gimmicky, but there are a lot of like gimmicky stuff in tires. They'll say, oh, we came out with this new tread pattern and it'll change this, and some of it's true, but some of it's a lot of gimmick too. So you have to watch out for that. But I mean, if you want, there's just like a regular all-terrain if somebody's going off-road, but lightly off-road, you would maybe go with a regular all-terrain. Obviously, you're gonna experience a little bit of range loss, but it drastically varies, and you can tell this by going on the Tire Rack, because it will tell you the weight of the exact tire. It will tell you the revs by mile. I mean, they go really deep into this stuff. So the tread pattern matters. The compound of the rubber matters. The softer, the more grippy, which means less range. Less efficiency, right? So, I mean, the way you how much PSI you put in them can matter, so there's just so many factors that go into it. It's hard to say, okay, you're going to run this tire and you're going to get 10%, less efficiency. It just doesn't really work that way. So what I would say is, if you're going to buy tires, how do you drive, and what do you want to use? What are you using your tires the most for? And also a big question is, do you live in a snowy region? That's another huge question. Do you want to go summers and winters, or do you want to just stick with one set of tires? Because you don't want to go super performance-y, because number one, you'll get more grip, actually, funny enough. And number two, they're not good for winter, right? So you'd want to, you got to find what works for you, is what I kind of tell people. Like, some guy posted on the Lightning Owner group today. He's like, I see everybody posting about these new tires, which one should I buy? And it's like, well, there's a lot of questions to ask first before you even get to the point of like what tire I should buy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a huge point, because what's going to happen for you and for Martin, where you guys get snow, versus me out in California, where I'm never going to see snow, is a totally
and we're not
different.
even getting into then looks, like Martin mentioned a couple minutes ago. So like, then that's a whole nother conversation of, do you want aggressive? Do you not want aggressive, and I mean, real quick, we'll just talk about why we're talking about this is the Goodyear, the new Goodyear tires.
What's the deal with these tires? So,
well, there were the AT3s, the, Toyos, and those were like really popular. Those were the first AT all-terrain tire that was made to be efficient, and again, you have to be careful with these, like, they can be gimmicky, right? They, sometimes they can say, oh, it's much more efficient, but it might only be like 2 or 3% more efficient, right? Like, or maybe even less, so you have to be careful, but you can look at a tire and see if it's going to be more efficient or less efficient, really, truly. And you look at that by weight, by size, and also by the sidewall and the tread pattern and compound as well. Those things will tell you if a tire is going to be less efficient or more efficient. That's just straight up. But like we said, there's so many variables inside that will play, a different role. Wheels, you could put the most efficient tire on the world and then throw a horrible set of wheels on there and ruin everything that you get back from the tires.
That frontal surface area just in and of itself makes it be. If you put a wider tire, it's less efficient. It's more air resistance.
And offset, that's something we should probably talk about. So like offset, certain wheels have different offsets. That's how far it sits out. You can also get spacers. That's how people fit like 17-inch wheels on the Lightning. They have to add spacers. I think a certain offset and spacers, if I'm not mistaken.
And then that all plays back into what you said a minute ago, Jace, is if you're looking for a certain look, but you don't use your Lightning for long road trips and all that, by all means, pick whatever you want. It doesn't matter. If you're driving at 50 miles a day and you're not taking it on the highway, just get the truck looking like you want it to look. If you want to put some Raptor wheels on it and have that look for the winter because you're driving 50 miles in the winter in Canada, great. But know that you're going to take a big hit. There was a guy today that posted he's getting 1.7 on in the town and like 1.5 on the highway. But he didn't seem to care because he liked the way his truck looked.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy ones, right? They level it, and I mean, by the time you do all this stuff, you're really killing your efficiency. But hey, if you drive around town, you don't really care. I mean, awesome, good for you. I know Mitchell in Chicago put the Raptor wheels on, and he's like, I get like 1.5 too, and he's like, I could care less.
And most guys, you get this, and all these things affect the gas the exact same way. The difference is they got huge gas tanks where our
more to start with. Yeah.
More to start with. The same age-old conversation.
So speaking of this is going to be a stupid question. I think based on what you're saying, I know the answer. If I tried to put like street tires on a Raptor wheel, would that be ridiculous and it wouldn't even fit?
No.
Yes. I mean, you could do it.
They're wider. The Raptors are wider. You can buy a wider street tire on a Raptor wheel if you want. For me, the 17-inch wheel is not really made to fit a street tire wide.
I did it one time on a 2018. I went to a shop. I had these awesome fuel wheels chosen that I absolutely loved. I've posted them on my Twitter before. They're awesome. They're the Fuel Rebels. They're very, very popular in the F150 community. They were kind of new at the time. I paid like way too much for them and discount tire scratch and whole thing. Long story short, I took them to a shop. I put them on the truck, and I'm like, I really want these Goodyears. And they were affiliated. This shop was affiliated with Toyos. They're like, no, you put these Toyos on. Like, these are awesome. And they're like, they got a 60K mile warranty. You're gonna love them. And I looked at them on the shelf, and I thought, all right, they're not quite as aggressive as I want. They don't have quite as big a sidewall, but I'll do it. They're a good deal. Like, screw it, let's do it. Right? I put them on. It looked the wheel wells looked like they were a mile long. Like it looked horrible.
Put on like a 275, 80 or something to fill that up.
For the 17th, absolutely. But then again, now you're talking wheel spacers, offset. I mean, you're like F the Pump. He has, you've seen that truck, Chris.
Yeah. And I love
it. Looks great.
wheels.
Yeah, it looks great. It does. But yeah, you're talking then aggressive.
Does he have ATs on his? His are 18-inch wheels, though, I think.
His are like borderline like mud terrain tires. That's a whole he has very, very aggressive all-terrains on his.
The genre. If you're off-road, like my Can-Am Defender has got mud tires on it, and I hate mud tires typically, but we run in Colorado. You better have something that can handle the rock and the mud and all that. So it all depends on what you're doing with your truck.
And some people will put mud and snow tires on their damn vehicle and just take it to the grocery store and back. That's why it just depends on what you want and what makes you happy. That's what I would say with tires. But within that, there is conversation that some are more comfortable than others. Some, but again, how much PSI are you running? There's so many questions that go into it. But anyway, where I was going earlier, so the Toyos EV3s have been the only EV AT tire that was released really at all. Nobody really has said
that doesn't really affect range. It seems to be the one that keeps your range about where you're at.
Yes, and they look pretty good. Yeah, on the stock wheel. Good. Yeah, good caveat there because that's very true. But they look good. They look pretty aggressive. They were the winner
So
supposedly.
expensive. We're talking $1,400 a set of tires.
Yes. So Goodyear decided that they were going to counter, and they released this week, which was a surprise. I had not seen anything about it or anything like that. They were going to release their electric drive 2 ATs. They had an electric drive 1. They still do. It's for Teslas. A lot of the Teslas, you'll see they have a quiet ride comfort technology, something like that in them. The second ones do as well. But essentially it's a more efficient EV version, all-terrain tire, sort of like the Toyos as well. So just a response to that. And I'm a Goodyear guy. I'm from, Cleveland/Akron. We're right here headquartered. So they were like the perfect, sort of a mix of what I've kind of been looking for. So we were able to score another discount. And so we were able to buy a set that we're still looking for another 20-inch wheel or 20-inch wheel set for Justin's truck. So hopefully we can find something out there. I'd love the Lariat wheels. I just posted these RTR wheels. I don't know if you guys saw them on social media. They're sick. They're really cool. They're really cool F1. They're very similar to like the Rebels. So I'd love those, but those are $1,600 for the set, and I'm like, oh, oof, that's rough.
So that new tire, is it going to be in that price range too?
It's $400 a tire for the 275 60R20s.
So and with that said, I was running, and we haven't talked about this tire yet, is the Michelin, which is the Michelin, the LTX MS2s. I had those about 40,000 miles on my last truck. Fantastic tire. They're going to last a long time. They're $300 to $400 a set, $350 to $400 a set, depending on where you're going to see them. And so that a lot of guys, that's fine. I mean, I guess if you're spending 60 to 80,000 on your truck, what's $1,300 for a set of tires? But I have found, and I want to plug my little find that I've been running for years now and I've probably sold 40 or 50 sets of these. Being the body shop, we basically have a tire shop here, tire machine balancer, the whole 9 yards, is a Turo. And I'm going to plug this a little bit because I have been running these for like 3 years. So this is the new Turo that they came out with called the HT. It's not as much of a highway tire, but it does have a little bit of a highway tire look to it. It to me is very similar to that MS2 Michelin. Turo is an American company that the tires are made in Korea. A lot of your tires aren't made here now. Some of them still are. True. Some of them still are. But if you look at that price, that is a 116, the right weight. The H is the right speed. Made for it's weighted to fit the Lightning, and we're 142 a piece.
Wow, that's a great price, man.
That's simpletire.com. I've been using Simple Tire. I'm a wholesale distributor for them now, and I've been using them for like 2 or 3 years. You get the tires in a couple days. If you don't have a tire machine and balancer like we do, you can pick an installer and they'll work with them to install for you. I'm not saying Tire Rack or any of the other tire shops aren't great, because I've used Discount Tire, I've used Tire Rack. It just depends on what you want. But this is the tire I've had on my truck now for about 5,000 miles, and I've only had it a month. We put a lot of miles. These are fantastic. They're quiet. They're very grippy, and efficiency is dead on what the factory tire was. I had, when I bought this used Red Lightning, a set of Cooper Discoverers on this truck, and I decided to pull them off because after the trip to Canada, they were all over the road. It was horrible. They weren't rated the right weight, or they were soft sidewalls or something, but that truck was wallering so bad that I couldn't figure out why. And when I went to put the Aturos on, it totally calmed the truck down.
I will say that is one thing I've kind of noticed with the 22-inch wheels of the Platinum is the truck rolls over on the sidewalls so much easier. You hit a little bump and the wheel just kind of pulls so much more.
You have less sidewall. It must be something with that particular tire that they picked.
I drive with, remember the Duratrack RTs that are very stiff sidewall. They're 3-ply, so they were very stiff. So like changing over to those, they're really rounded.
Are you using?
I think that kind of has.
Are you using like a Load Range E, like a 10-ply tire, or not?
No, I don't go. Yeah, so that's another conversation that we have to have too. So there's a difference between LT and then P-rated tires.
Correct.
So when in the Lightning land, we're kind of right on the
edge.
cusp. Yeah, you can really use either. And actually, it was weird. Ford shipped 2023 Lightnings. I don't know if they continued in 2024 or not. I didn't buy a Lariat in 2024, but they had they actually shipped 115 275 60R20s for a while. The first 2022s they shipped with 116s, and so for a while people were like, "Oh, you can only use 116s. You can use 115s." And if you do the math, 115 and 116 are actually pretty close.
They're
it's like
50
a difference,
50 pounds of tire rating difference.
Yeah, it's like 400 pounds. Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't worry too much about 115 versus 116. But when you talk about LT versus P, like Martin was saying, 10 ply versus 3 ply versus 2 ply,
or 6 ply or something. Yeah,
there's a few of them. That's where you start to get into the heavier weight conversation. An LT tire is going to be most of them. Yeah, and like they're like 50 pounds each, about 10 pounds heavier than a P-rated tire, if that makes sense.
More radial side, there's more radials running through, more steel running through the tire, so it's made to handle the heavy loads, where you won't overheat the sidewall. I mean that's what it boils down to.
So is that more relevant if you're towing?
Yes,
definitely. Okay. Yeah, and more weight in general.
That said, I have towed more than most. Probably not all, but most on Lightnings, and I've only run the P-sided 116H rated tires. Now, could I have went to the LTs? It all depends on what you're doing. I mean, if I'm up in Canada running on gravel roads, I'd have a 10-ply tire and probably the AT3s.
Yeah, see, Matt is commenting now. He has the 115s, and as you've seen, those were from the factory, and as you've seen, he's towed, as big of, a camper that you can get with those with no problem. So, yeah, it's just, and then, like the Duratrack RTs that I have, they're kind of the in between an AT and a mud tire. Their new segment called Rugged Terrain. They're a P-rated, but they're a 3-ply. So they're kind of like in between, if you will. Yeah, so here's the new ones. This is the
new one, right?
The Duratrack RTs are a little more intense than this. This is the new ones. And they are, you can see like the sidewalls less aggressive, meaning more efficiency, less road noise, all those kind of things.
Hopefully you're going to try.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I know we got to try them. But they did say it has like the quiet sound comfort technology. So, I mean, looking at them, I'm guessing they're going to be quieter just by looking at them. If you could,
for reference, I don't know, Jace, if you guys are having any requirements where you're at, that 3-peak mountain rating in Canada, you'll get tickets if you don't have that.
Yep, or in like Colorado and
the new tires that I bought, those Aturo HTs, have that. So
and if you
run those.
If you have a truck, honestly, and you live in a snowy area and you're not, especially if you're not changing like your tires, I'd probably at this point there's plenty. Like, look, this is an all-season, all-terrain with the 3-peak on it. It covers any situation that you could run into. I mean, you could run these. Hopefully, I mean, like I said, we'll see with the efficiency numbers, but I mean, hopefully you can use these all the year and not experience, I'll probably just run them all the time instead of throwing my 22s on in the summer.
The other thing you got to consider is noise. So I know that when you get into these more aggressive tread patterns, and the wider the gap, the more noise, the more air that's going to squeeze in and out of each tread. You have to consider that. And the Lightning's so quiet, the wrong tire can really make it loud. Those Coopers had they had a wider tread pattern, and I heard them. I didn't like
the Duratracks are loud. I just kind of accept it for the look because I love it, but they're easily 3 times as loud. So I'm kind of hoping that these electric drives will kind of be something in the middle, and maybe even a little bit better than that. They're not quite as aggressive looking, but they look good. Let's
talk a little bit about, and Chris, because you mentioned a minute ago about different types and sizes and stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the tires that have foam in them and how that's.
I don't believe that these do. Now, do you guys know if the AT3s do?
Yeah, somebody comment if you've seen the inside of your AT3.
Yeah,
the foam filled. Now, I will tell you,
interior noise vehicle sound. Can you stop real quick, Chris? Yes.
Yeah.
Comfort technology designed to create a quieter, more comfortable covering environment.
I think that's in the tread in the compound. I don't think that's on the inside. So I know that we built a 2021 Lincoln Aviator, and it had the foam filled tires. From a tire shop standpoint, I hate that. You can't really patch it without cutting the foam out and gluing it back in. We replaced the factory, I think what's on the Aviator, I'm trying to remember. We replaced those tires with a Turos. They have an AZ series that's kind of a high performance tire. And the noise was exactly the same. The guy said, I didn't notice anything at all difference coming from a foam to a non-foam. So to me, I think the foam's kind of a gimmick. I don't like it.
I agree. And you're increasing weight. So,
and you know, if that
can't be much, but still.
That foam comes loose inside those tires. I've seen it. It rolls up into a ball, and then you're completely out of balance. So if you have foam-filled tires, you know, the foam insert tires, not foam-filled.
Chris, you want to pull up the Duratrax real quick? So you can just kind of see if you go, they might be down there, but they probably are in like AT tire land.
Yeah.
That way you can just kind of see the difference of like what the aggressiveness.
Is that up here in the search area somewhere, you're saying? Just search for Duratrack?
Yeah, you could probably do that too. Or just go to tires and then all-terrain.
Yeah, because it's more of an all-terrain than an all-season, and there is a difference. So
and these, you'll kind of notice how these are kind of like a mix of both. So let's see. Yeah,
there's all-terrain. So even on the Turo site, like I'm running an all-weather tire. And
Matt says he thinks they have foam. I don't know. I don't know if they do, Matt. I hope they don't. I already bought them, so I hope they don't. So there's the Duratrack RTs, and then there's the Duratrack RT LTs, which is what we're kind of talking about. Light truck versus P passenger rated. Either one, but another thing that I don't think we brought up too, Martin, is that LTs are also significantly more expensive.
Oh yes, in every tire, not just, and we're talking Michelin or whatever. So, I'll share you the competitor.
Way more aggressive.
Yeah, these are pretty aggressive. So
these are also what come on the Cybertruck for their winter wheel package tires combo. This is what comes on, but they ship with the LT obviously because the Cybertruck's a little bit heavier.
Yeah. So I have bought the competitor to this. So this tire's, that's actually not a bad price for what you're getting. $246.
I know. I wonder if that's a small size. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Can you go back to the Duratrack RT LT just out of curiosity, Chris, and see what that starts at? Because I bet you that jumps up probably into the.
Yeah, it'll be considerably more.
Force.
The LT tire is going to be well, not really.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we're looking at small size. I bet you if you do 275, 60, 20, you're talking.
Well, and starting at, that's the other thing too. Tire or whatever. But
if you go down, I think they have sizes. Yeah. Go up to 20. Oh, they make those in the 22. Wow, that would be crazy.
275, 60, 20 is what we're looking at. That's a Lightning tire. Second one,
that one right there. Let's see what it jumps up to.
Well, and I don't, that still may not be that's the starting price, but anyhow, so that tire, Jace, you've got firsthand experience. These are pretty efficient, but they're pretty noisy.
They're pretty efficient. They're pretty noisy. They do
really well in the snow.
They do very well in the snow. But I would, it just how willing are you? You know, are you cool with noise? Are you not? I mean, if I'm truly a Lightning owner, now that these other options are starting to exist that are 3-peak rated, look at C2, Chris. If you can look in there and see that tread pattern, see how wide those notches are. They have these huge valleys. Like Martin was saying, that's just wind going in there and noise, and it's just creating a lot of noise. It's great for rocks and stuff to fly out and, great for snow, but it's not great for noise. So like if I'm a Lightning owner right now and I see these new, electric drive stuff coming out, I'm just going to lean towards that because I get pretty much everything that I want with the Duratrack RTs in a more efficient, electric driven, tire. But I mean, there's a lot, if I'm going off road, I'm probably going to choose the Duratrack. If I'm truly off-roading, I'm going to go with the Duratrack. So it's a lot to
there's a lot something like there. So we've said a lot about tires. So at the end of the day, for guys listening, I wouldn't overthink it too much. Obviously, if you want to know efficiency, ask for efficiency. If you want to know aggressive, ask for aggressive. The forum is the Facebook group, the Lightning Owners group, is a great place to present that. But you want to be a little bit more specific of what your needs are, like Jay said, because it's really going to make a difference. So I had Josh, or world famous shout out to Josh on from Turn Down for What, asked me about a tire, and I shared with him this tire is another Atturo that we run on all of our gas F150s, and it's $158. It's pretty cheap, but this is an all-terrain. This is a good 3-peak mountain. I've put these on a bunch of trucks. On a gas truck, you don't really notice anything if they're not noisy at all. Josh put these on his Lightning and he lost 10%, but it's an aggressive tire. This is it's not probably quite as aggressive as that DuraTrack, but this is going to be very similar. So this one compared to the first one I showed earlier, 10% difference in efficiency, but this looks good. I mean, it's got that look, that all-terrain, you can take it through the snow and you're not really worrying about it. So, but I love the fact that they don't have a race car. They're not paying for O'Reilly's. They're not paying for all this stuff, and their prices are super cheap. Or I'm going to say, in my experience, after wearing these tires out on several vehicles, really good. This is a 60,000 mile warranty tire, and that's what I have on my truck too. 60,000 mile warranty.
Yeah, and I would say
I'm so cheap, man, that I can't imagine spending $400 if I can spend $100.
Oh, that's why when I buy them, I only buy them with that Goodyear discount. So
yeah,
that's the only time I'm buying.
I'm not going to lie. That's
What
the
are you
number
paying?
one driver when I started looking at the Atturos was the price, and then I was leery because you get on these websites and you'll get all these 50,000 different brands, Lancaster and Lansale, and you don't know until you have experience with them. I just have got a lot of experience with the Atturos we have on every single thing we drive, all of my trailers, my Can-Ams. It's going to be on the lawnmower, it's everything I have. So when you find a tire that will work, like Jace, the DuraTracks work for you. I'm hoping these new ones are good because you're obviously trying those.
Yeah.
We bought them for those, Jace. You're not paying
so
$400.
like I said, the only reason I can't afford $1,200 tires every time. So I actually am selling my Alta Terrains to Alan from Test Calendar. So I'm actually taking those down tomorrow morning to meet him in Mansfield. So those were sitting in above our garage. They're nice, aggressive all-terrain. Blues maybe a little bit, but they were really pretty light. They're a discount tire, exclusive Goodyear tire that we used to buy. We couldn't use the discount, so we quit buying them because we were paying full price. But they're a nice tire. I think they're like $298-ish new. So they're a nice tire. So I'm selling those to him, and then the Goodyear discount is they used to do a 45% discount, which was awesome. And we had a friend that was a retiree actually, and he would get these 45% discounts, and they're calendarly, so they go bad, or they expire, I should say, 12/31. So every October and November, we just kind of hit him up and say, "Hey Gary, is anybody used your discount yet?" And he's like, "No. So we would get that from him sometimes, and then and we live in Akron and Cleveland, so there's so many Goodyear employees around here that they get the normal discount that we used, and then I was able to get one for Matt. It's 35% off. So it's nice though, because it's 35% off the top, no questions asked, as long as it's a Goodyear tire or Cooper or whoever, Kelly, they own a couple now. As long as it's on their website, no restrictions, you could buy it. And then I think it's I believe it's like a discounted install too. I think they cap it at $100 or something like that. So it's a really, really nice deal, to be honest.
And I did confirm that Matt was right. Looking at Chat GPT and Grok, I double confirmed there is foam in those tires, so you will have to deal with the foam in those.
You can pull it out if you want it, Jace. Just rip it out of there.
I'm curious though if that applies to this new electric drive tire. I know it will. I know it does for sure to the old electric drive tire. I shouldn't say old. The one that is used for passenger cars. I'm curious if it's the same though for the all-terrain truck. We'll have to see. I'd be curious, and I would be very curious. I wonder if he found out anything about the Toyos too, because I'd be very curious about that. But we'll more on that when we find out. I mean, we're gonna find out really soon.
You have to take a peek.
Somebody actually from the group said he was getting them on tomorrow, so we might be able to find out sooner than we hope. So, but yeah.
Another term you guys threw out there that, for those that are not as tire savvy, you talked about the 3P rating.
It's a 3 mountain peak rating, and that has to do with how
3P MSF, as I believe the exact.
technically.
MS what? That sounds like something you need to beep out of there. What did you call them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting rating because, like in Canada, they have to have those or they'll get ticketed.
Well, how would you even
so
know?
it's
Like,
basically
if
just
you're,
so they'll tell. I mean, you'll see it on, and there's other ratings too. There's like a mud and snow rating. There's not just 3PMSF as they call it, but it's basically a designation that it's been tested by this certain I don't know if it's tested by the actual manufacturer, if it's tested by the people that do it, the accreditation people. But long story short is it has better performance in the snow. It's rated better. Is it kind of a gimmick again? Like probably maybe a little bit. Are there probably some
like
great tires that'll?
Is it like a UL listing for tires for snow and ice, basically?
To my knowledge, yeah.
Basically, what they're saying is they're approving these tires for use in really rough,
severe.
snowy,
That's
severe,
I think the exact word they use is severe snow, and I believe ice as well.
You can look on the side of any tire and see that 3-peak little. I'll pull it up here. 3-peak logo.
Yeah, so people can
on the
see
side of them, and you just look right at the sidewall.
Little snowflake.
And they'll have that little tire rating. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, so there's.
So Matt said installation is Thursday for him, so I'm assuming he means next week Thursday. Matt, comment if that's correct, because then you'll be the day after me. I go the 15th, so you go the 16th. Well, we'll find out. I mean, whatever. If they have fun, they have fun. But
Shout out Matt Lynn, by the way, who just accepted me on Instagram. No pressure. Thank you, buddy.
Oh.
I don't even know how long ago I sent him that invite or whatever.
Just a Google. So here's your little logo. This little logo, and basically this little thing that Tire Rack is saying is it's a minimum standard for light snow acceleration traction based on performance on packed snow. So you've got to have those, or it gets to be in certain, like Canada, they will give you tickets because you're not going to have the acceleration. You're going to lose control. You're going to cause wrecks and pileups and stuff. Now, does that mean that when you have this, you can go wherever anytime? No, you're still driving a car.
No, because in the mountains, then there's another even designation that you need chains and you can't go any further. So there's there are more levels.
Chains, but no. Okay.
No, probably not.
No, they do not.
Maybe in some areas they could say, maybe if you have both. But I'm guessing most it's chains or no chains, and then either 3-peak or no 3-peak. So
yeah. So
you're probably, if you have 3-peak, I would say more than likely you're choosing a less efficient tire than one that is not 3-peak rated.
Yeah, which was interesting because that new Atturo that I showed, the HT, is super efficient, just as efficient as any of the Hancooks or any of the.
I like the HT. If I was just buying a random tire, any HT is probably what I would go with. If I don't want an aggressive look and I'm not going off road, the new HTs, any HT really. I like the Steadfast HT a lot from Goodyear. We had that on our truck, but we turned that one in. But those were nice. Any HT is going to be the perfect tire for efficiency on the Lightning.
Yeah. And that's what I went with. And I've put those on mini half tons. And I'm like, man, for $140, I can't beat it. We're the 60,000 mile rated tire. So, but they're not a known brand. A lot of guys get nervous about that. I try to reassure people that I've had really good luck with them. But, everybody has their own. And again, I'm a Michelin fan. I love the MS2s I had. They're a great tire. They're quiet. On my friend's 2019 F150, he got 110,000 miles out of his first set of Michelins. Now it's just gas F150 that you don't see Lightnings typically doing that because of the weight. That's another thing we should talk about. PSI, you hit it on earlier, Jace. PSI, a lot of Lightnings will show 42 PSI on the door. Some of them were even showing 36 based on the spec. I don't run anything less than 46 to 49 PSI on mine all the time because I think they missed it on some of them. For instance, I'm going to knock a tire here for a second. The factory Hancooks.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand those. That's a horrible tire. They're quiet. They didn't do bad in the snow and stuff, but the edge wear, no matter what, I had those tires at 55 PSI trying to get center wear, and I got edge wear, which is over.
We had one blow up off we had one blow up on us on the highway right in front of the Goodyear headquarters. Literally, we posted a picture of it on the highway. It was wild, and it just out of nowhere, just boom, right off. And they looked at it and they said there's nothing wrong with the tire. We don't know why it just came off the bead.
Yeah. And that's not all Hancooks because, you know, they got the new Ion and that's a good tire. But the one that, and Ford's putting, I thought this was a lightning problem. Okay. That was the edge wear. But I have a friend who bought a 23 Power Boost, same tires. He had like 30,000 miles, about where my tires were at, and edge wear was all the way down. And the centers still had half a tread. So, you know, it's like I'm running 46.
Are you running LTs or Ps?
I run Ps. I don't need an LT for what I'm doing. Now he switched from his truck and that Hankook, instead of going to that, he went to an LT Michelin, like we see on the Super Duty. And he said he didn't notice much efficiency change. He said they're a little stiffer. You know, you feel bumps more.
Yeah.
So it's, again.
Yeah, that's another thing, Chris, like Electrified Overlanding here is saying that he runs 49 PSI. He said earlier he's running an LT. So an LT tire, you run at a higher PSI.
Yeah, LTs.
I've seen some of them run to like 55 on their LTs.
Yeah, all my Super Duties are rated at 80. That's where you run an LT tire typically. Wild. And I don't run them at 80 because they're rough riding. Now, if I'm towing, like if I got a gooseneck trailer on, 80 PSI.
Yeah.
But I ran them at 60 when I wasn't towing on an LT. So that's a whole different rating on pressures.
And again, that's just because you know you're going to throw a load on there, and so you need it for that.
Yeah, you don't. When you have
that, but also the tire requires a higher PSI too. But yeah.
So at that point, you're going off what's on the sidewall of the tire, not what's on the inside of your door anymore.
And
honestly, you've changed. The truck comes with a P-rated highway terrain tire, so you got to unless you order the all trains, but they're not aggressive, right? So basically,
even then, when you change your tire away from what the door rating is, you shouldn't run the pressure that the door rating is necessarily. It depends on what tire you went with.
So is there a way to tell the truck that so that it's not confused or it doesn't freak
There's
out?
There's nothing to tell it.
Unless you change sizes significantly so that the speedometer is off, you wouldn't really have anything to tell it. It doesn't really care. It just reads the pressures.
And even that can be adjusted with ForceScan with a quick change. But with tires, I have never gone to 49, 50, 55 PSI. It doesn't affect TPMS sensors. Now, when you get too low, it will. Now, you may get up to 60 PSI and it freak them out. But at 50 PSI, I've never had a TPMS sensor freak out on me.
Yeah, so we ran LTs for a while too in our old trucks. It's fine.
So I was just looking at the Ford Pass app, right? And mine on the app, it says optimal tire pressure 42 on mine. So if suddenly I switch out my tires, doesn't my app still think my optimal tire pressure is 42?
Yeah, that won't change. That's just pulling that data from your VIN.
Yeah.
So won't it start flagging it and be in the red or some
no,
other color?
No. Only like Martin said, if it gets low, it doesn't care how high you go.
Okay.
So that's just a guideline.
It's a guideline for the factory tire. So my truck, I don't know what tires were on the 23 Lariat Max Tow that I have from the factory, probably the Hancooks. It says 36 front and rear.
See, I thought, Matt is one of those too that has the 23 with the 115s that is 36 PSI, and that's what he runs it at. I still think that's crazy, but yeah. And
if you run the Hancooks there, you're going to wear them out in 20,000 miles on the edge of the tire. Now, the Goodyears don't seem to do that.
So why does it say 36? I mean, because those tires are different, and you're saying if he runs it at 36, that's messing up his tire, or
no? They rated that particular tire and the weight of the truck, the sidewall, all those things, all those factors we've been talking about to get the right contact pattern across that tire. If you overinflate, you're going to wear the center of your tire out, and the truck's going to feel roll. If you underinflate, it can feel rolly, and you'll wear out the edges of your tire.
Okay.
And I think what truly happened, to be completely honest with you, is that I believe there was a shortage on 116s and that Ford had to switch over to 115s to just ship trucks.
Which is fine. I mean,
yeah. It's like we said, it's a 400-pound difference. This is not some huge difference between a 115 and a 116, but it is unique that happened.
Just like for Matt, I mean, you run 36 PSI in the tires, they're going to ride better. If they wear fine, roll with it. If they don't, I run 46 PSI in all my Turos and they're wearing perfectly flat. And my Michelin did the same thing.
We run 44s in all of ours and we have not had any issues. It's the same with any wearing. We tow occasionally the boat, but it's, it's not super heavy like your guys' campers, but no issues.
50,000 miles. I can't believe he made it that far. The outside edges are toast.
Yeah.
I made it to 37,000 on mine, and I was the middle had about half.
50 seems great.
Oh, that's pretty good for Hancocks.
Mhm.
That's best I've heard.
Yep.
So the other thing we might talk about, since we're talking wheels and tires, is have you guys seen that the new F150s are all coming with Lightning? A lot of them with Lightning.
We brought it up one time in one of these episodes. I forget what it was because it was in an order guide, but it was 3 or 4 months ago that we saw that it was going to happen. But we hadn't seen any yet, and now they're all over.
I was at the Lewisburg Ford dealer, and they had like 12 Lightnings. I got some video.
I think it was Tim Bartz that had seen it in an order guide a few months back or something, and we talked about it. But there was they're out.
15 F-150s there. All of them had Lightning wheels. I don't know if they ordered too many Lightning wheels and the trucks weren't selling as well, and now they got to put these on trucks. And I've not heard F-150 guys say they like them. I am actually a fan now, but it's an interesting decision Ford by putting Lightning wheels on an F-150.
It's so funny because I guess you want what you don't have, because I look at it and I'm like, I want the black trimmer wheels, or I want something, or I want to do what you did, Martin, which is to powder coat, because I do like the Lariat wheels. I just don't like that it's not black. So like, that's my thing, is that I just don't like that they're not black. So I either want to black them out, or I want the black trimmer wheels or something, if I'm going to go and swap out mine. And then of course, then they're starting to put Lightning wheels. Are the Lightning wheels that kind of metallic
exact same
look,
wheel?
or
same wheel, same color, which I'm kind of like, oh shoot, well maybe that bodes well for me because we're looking for a set, and I'm like, maybe the ice guys will be wanting to, get rid of them, or a dealer or something.
Yeah. I see them all the time for $500 on Facebook Marketplace.
In Cali, dude, there are everywhere. But here it's like everybody I talk to, oh, I'm in Texas, oh, I'm in Cali, oh, I'm in Florida. I'm like, damn, I just can't get any. New Jersey, I get that a lot too. I'm like, I can't get anybody close by that has one. Now, I did talk to one guy, and he's said he's going to get back to me. But I mean, some people are funny too, because you'll talk to them. When we bought my one set that I unfortunately ruined on the highway, those were $500 that guy sent to me. And then I talked to some people, and they're like, I want $1,400 for the set. I'm just like,
yeah, it's crazy. $500 is doable for wheels. That's an XLT 4-wheel drive sitting at Lewisburg Ford, brand new F-150.
Oh, and okay. I didn't know that's why that's where those silver center caps are coming from. I've actually seen a bunch of these for sale on eBay, and so that's what they changed. Same wheel, but they are now putting silver center caps instead of black.
And you can buy the black ones for like $20, so they're not,
I literally they're $13 on eBay. So they were selling for $195 a wheel on eBay. That's not. They're brand new, so think about that. But
the fact that these are coming on Lightnings makes me think they ordered too many of them. Or, I mean, non-Lightnings.
Non-Lightnings,
I think they had some sort of a contract,
Yeah. So that's a brand new, and there was probably 20 trucks sitting there with those wheels on them. That or the spoke design. That's the two wheels I saw the most. So I actually like that. I think it looks good, but not everybody has that same opinion.
Yeah. So let me posit a slight change of topic, but topic adjacent, kind of on what you just said. So the idea that they ordered too many, right? So they had this idea that the Lightning would sell triple figures at some point, and so maybe they either ordered a ton of these wheels, or if they didn't order them, they certainly contracted a minimum amount. So whether or not this is the original number from 2022, or they're still making them, but they had a contracted amount they had to pay for anyway. And I also think with the Charge Station Pro, similar, right? And I've started to see that Ford is starting with the Power Promise to start to give out some Emporias.
Yep.
Starting to see Emporia chargers. So that means they're coming to the end of their inventory of those Charge Station Pros. And if they're starting to stock some of the gas F-150s with these, maybe they're trying to now let's deplete these. The combination of those two things, does that tell you that 2026 might be the end of this generation of Lightning, and maybe there's something around the corner for the actual T3? I mean, that's just wild speculation, clearly, right? But does that
You know, Chris, I want to hope. I would love for that spoofed post that we all saw the other day for 450 miles to be true too, but I don't have realistic.
There's way too many headwinds. Look what's going on with the administration. You know, Farley has been really open about this, especially recently in a lot of interviews, that he sees potentially EV sales being cut in half after this next quarter is what his concern was. At least he said it's 10% market share right now, you know, for new purchases, I believe registrations. And he said he thinks he could easily see that going down to 5%. Oh, I hope to God that's not the case. Obviously, I think all of us do, you know, but I think they have the data and they see it. And so to answer your question, no, I don't think that's the case. I think if anything, we'll see the Lightning maybe even just stick around a little longer. I mean, here's a perfect example of this. You know, I didn't realize that the Mach-E Select, for instance, is cheaper than the new Model Y Standard that they released today. Already, it's $37,000. I did not know that the Mach-E was that cheap.
Significantly less range, though.
Correct, significantly less range. But honestly, everything else I compared, the Mach-E wins. But other than efficiency and range,
other than that, around the city, you don't need the range. I mean, that's and we should.
And you're talking a $37,000 car, not a $60,000.
Yeah. I mean, I think our Mach-E new was $71,000. The GT Performance.
GT, that's right.
Yeah, so that we didn't pay that
in my first edition. Yeah,
right. So
I paid that.
we should talk about the fact that now the tax credit ending, I'm sure, played a factor in the sales, but the Mach-E electric outsold the regular Mustang 2-1.
2-1. Yeah.
I just want to wrap up on the ridiculous speculation. I tried to message that guy that did that. I don't even know if it's a guy. Honestly, that could be AI for all I know.
Yeah.
That posting, found his account on X, posted to the post, never got a response from him. I was like, hey, what's your source on this?
Wait, what are you talking about here?
The 450-mile Lightning.
The 450-mile Lightning and the speculation, right?
I don't even know if I saw that. When was this?
You posted on it, Jace. Yeah, it was all fake. Maybe it was, and Tom posted on it. He's like, "This is all fake."
Yeah. Tom posted on it, and I
and a few days ago.
It was, and the guy never.
I think it was clickbait. He's just looking for clicks.
And if you click on it and look at one of his graphics, one of his AI graphics or whatever they are, like it's there's a bunch of misspellings in the words and a bunch of other stuff. And
he's listening to us right now laughing because it was a joke.
Maybe, and there's another, like I went back and there's some other article that had a thing about Rivian, and it was, some kind of twist on news that had come out way back in May. And then I reached out to some of our mutual contact sources that we would all know. And, they didn't really give us any kind of anything. It was the standard, hey, we don't comment on speculation. And then I tried my best. I was like, hey, because somebody tried to post that into our common Facebook group, and I wasn't going to approve it because they had posted it into one of the other Facebook groups that I don't have any control over. And they posted it into the one that I do. And I was like, I don't want to start this. You know what I mean? I don't want to approve this, not knowing anything about it. I just don't want to even get into that on the group. So I said, hey, before I hit approve on this, like, is this complete and total
humor?
Is this complete and total nonsense? Or I don't remember what the word I used was, but and then they're like, hey, sorry, we don't comment on rumors. And I'm like, and I said something like, let me put this a different way. If I were to approve this, would it be unproductive for me to approve this? And like, I just, I was a little surprised they didn't say at least that would just be unproductive or give me some, and they didn't. So it kind of gave me pause.
Because I think then they're answering the question. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's better to just like kind of not answer. It's very clumsy, but
so I went with, given the AI part of it, I still went with not posting it. I was like, I'm not going to post this. It was just too
right.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could see, I don't know. Ford has been like so hardcore that any move that they make with electric vehicles from here on out has to be profitable, period.
Yes.
Like point blank. And like maybe at a certain point, and I've thought about this, I don't know how with such low volume, but there may be a certain point, at least especially with the Mach-E, where Ford is profitable and they can maybe do a little bit of like what Matt just said, a minor, refresh. Maybe that is, adding Ford digital experience. Maybe it's, I've seen, and adding next. Absolutely. That could be it. I think typically with Ford, they're kind of like Apple. Like Apple kind of releases things in the iPad that are updates like OLED. There's a few things that have kind of come out on the iPad before it made its way to the iPhone. And Ford has kind of done the same thing with the Mustang Mach-E and the Lightning. Everything comes first to the Mach-E. They kind of tool it on that, see, how it goes, how it works. And then a year later, it comes to the Lightning. So I think that's what we would see.
I don't know if this would be a good transition to Jace's experience with the new Mach-E, because one refresh could be, for example, with the Lightning, adding NACS and adding the newest computer hardware, because the Mach-E that you drove is not backwards compatible to the software to the previous Mach-E's or the 2025 Lightning. The 2025 Mach-E has a unique hardware set and a unique Blue Cruise that the 2025 Lightning won't get. And the 2026
and there are I don't even know. We don't even know if the 2026 will actually get that either yet.
I don't, as far as I know, it's the same hardware, the ST, everything that we've seen, it's the same Blue Cruise 1.4. It is not 1.5.
Which I will say the hardware on the 25 does look the same as what it kind of did before. I believe it's like a little bit bigger, but from like the end user, it doesn't look, any different. You don't like say, oh, this obviously has Blue Cruise 1.5.
But did it feel snappier? I would assume it felt a little snappier.
Yeah, and there's a lot of changes. Yes, there's a lot of little changes. So like why don't you
talk about this, tell the story, man. Like, how did you
that's true. People probably don't. Everybody probably doesn't know. So I last week dropped my truck off for a recall, a CSP recall. This was actually like the second time I dropped this truck off at this dealer that's 50 miles away. Because
the boost, the brake boost or whatever it was?
No, this was the Vista roof trough replacement. So this was some drain clip issue with the ever famous Vista roof on the F150s that we all know are famous for leaking and all sorts of things.
That's every F150,
That's all every F150. You betcha. Yep, and they're all built the same, like we've talked about. Martin's talked about. They have drains and they get clogged, and they have drains tubes and those get kinked, and there's so many things that can happen. And yes, that is in every F-150. So I expect on the next refresh that maybe they'll take a look at that, but maybe they won't. Although, we'll see.
Real quick, though, on that, I have not seen a recall for that on mine. Why would yours have it and mine not?
Because it was it was 2024 only, and it was not a long, like Justin's actually didn't even have the recall. And funny enough, his is the one that leaked.
So working at a corporate manufacturer, as I do, we'll have bookends that are serial numbers. It could be over a day, a week, a month. That a person missed this one thing, and we knew when they were there, and that's the trucks you recall or the things you recall. So that's how.
And like all of them, you go in, and it 1% might only have the issue that actually experienced the issue, right? But you recall all those VINs to look, and I will say my
malfunctioning or whatever happened.
Yeah, and I don't really know exactly the details. We could probably find out, but it was pretty intensive though. They had to take the headliner down. They had to remove the Vista glass, the front panel, the back panel. It was obviously pretty intense, which I was not happy about.
Phil, who we fired, turns out made a bunch of bad sunroofs, Vista roofs, which is probably why, though, in fairness, they had to run it through the machine, though, right? They had to test that thing.
That is true. So
continue on.
We dropped the truck off the first time. They came back and they said, actually, I'm so sorry we don't have all the parts, which that I hate when that happens. It's not often that it happens to me, but this time I was like, come on, guys, let's get it together. They didn't have all the parts, whatever. So they ordered them and they said it'll be a little bit. So, take the truck back and we'll let you know when they come in. So they finally came in like 2 weeks later. It was some like clips, I guess, that they needed. So they got up in there. They completed the recall. All was good. They were informed not to wash the vehicle because it does have a ceramic coat on it. Somehow, obviously, that message got lost in translation. I have thought about exactly what Chris said, though. They did have to test it. That's true. So maybe they decided to just do it anyway. I don't know, But long story short, they put it through the car wash. I've never really got the full story on as exactly what happened, but quote unquote, it got squirrely in the car wash. My guess is maybe a one pedal drive issue. Maybe they were going a little crazy. And I did confirm it was indeed the car wash. They did not hit another car, and you could tell based on the damage actually, because you can see the brush marks, or could at the when I looked at it. So long story short, they got squirrely in the car wash and they crashed it into the brush. And luckily the car didn't even go through the car wash, because it didn't even get far enough to, because they crashed into the very front brush. So long story short, they stopped right there. They took it out. One headlight was damaged. It wasn't cracked or really truly that badly damaged, but it was not repairable. It just needed to be replaced. So they did that, and then there was some damage on the lower front bumper that also needed to be repainted, really. And that's what they did. They ended up taking it off. They sent it to their body shop. They repainted it, and then they put it back on. And it was pretty minor damage, but overall, not a fun experience. So long story short, that happened. I was not happy, obviously, but, things happen. I want to see how they kind of, made right on the situation. And they did kind of let me know right away what happened, what they were going to do to fix it. And they did say, we'll get you a loaner. And I said, awesome. And so I took that opportunity to ask my good friend who works in sales there, if they could perhaps give me a Mach-E Rally or GT for said loaner. And they were like, yeah, we could probably, make that happen. And so like a couple hours later, they texted me back and they're like, yep, we've got you a Mach-E GT, come on up whenever you want it, and you can have it as long as, it takes to get your truck fixed. And so that was really cool. Getting to drive the 2025 Mach-E GT was really cool. It's fast as what. I cannot believe it. Oh my God. I've been in one a few times, driven one a few times, but having it for, a few days and being able to have a little bit of fun with it. I'm not going to say how much fun we had with it, but they're down in Mexico, as they say, we had a great time with it. But no, it was really fun. It was a blast. But yeah, so going back to kind of Blue Cruise though, I was interested to see how it worked, because Ford has had some complaints previously where if you were to go out on a test drive or you had a loaner vehicle, Blue Cruise would not work because it wasn't set up through connected services. That was frustrating for people, because it's like, I want to experience the whole car, right? I want to experience Blue Cruise, want to test drive. I want to see how that would work. And you weren't really able to do it until you bought the car. So it was really cool that I could not add my loaner to the Ford Pass app. They had somehow blocked that out. So I couldn't do phone as a key, but I was able, but Blue Cruise worked in its entirety. I wasn't sure if it would have automatic lane change, or if it was just a, sort of basic version of Blue Cruise for a loaner car, but it wasn't. It was a full version, and it was good. It was, there are little changes here and there. You can tell with the software. It'll say things like, if you cancel a lane change, it'll say canceled by the driver. If you, aren't paying attention, it has a little bit more specific instructions, like stay alert to the road, and it shows a human's face sort of thing. So there's all sorts of little bit of nuances that they've added that are really nice, because sometimes you don't know if you accidentally canceled a lane change or if it was the vehicle or certain little things, you know what I mean? And they will tell you exactly what happened and why it canceled. Automatic lane change, I'm not sure I'd leave that on. I don't know. Maybe I'd have to get used to turning my speed down more, because there were a few times where it tried to do the automatic lane change, and I'm like, I'm not, there's a car right there, or, that's flying up, or, I'm getting off at this exit up here, and it has no situational awareness whatsoever. So as far as your navigation route, it doesn't put the two together. So
were there any different settings as far as aggressiveness? So the Tesla has chill, standard.
No, not to my knowledge. I looked in the settings briefly, but I did not see anything like that that I can think of. But yeah, all of it was very solid, worked well. Graphics looked good. They've redone a lot of the graphics since I owned my Mach-E. The whole driver's instrument cluster is totally different. It looks great. Much more you know, intuitive as far as, you know, when you're driving and what you're seeing. So that was really nice.
And no more dial, right? It's got the
correct. Yes.
Shifter.
Yeah.
How'd you feel on that?
I got used to it. I know I've talked about it before. I love the shifter. You know, the truck shifter. I love it. I actually, the gained room on the Mach-E is nice, but I still don't love the column shifter. I don't know why. I don't. It's
so
like kind
you
of
drive
like
a Tesla for a month and then you go back to the dial. It's hard to get used to because our Model S with that. I reach up now and hit the blinker on the Mach-E when I get in it because I'm used to the Tesla.
yeah. It would probably take some getting used to, but it's so intuitive to like when you drive a truck. You know, you get in and you pull backwards to go in reverse, or you know what I mean. And it's very like tactile and like you know, and it's not like that with the little.
Because I've switched over now. I'm running the rotary dial, not for the reasons that everybody else is in the Lightning. I have the rotary dial, and I have two different housings that I've run, and I've tried them both. Dusty Mannion has one that's really good, and then there's one you can 3D print yourself off of Thingiverse or whatever. That's the one that I actually am preferring because of the way I custom built my cup holder. If you haven't seen my YouTube channel, there's a custom insert that you can print. I haven't twisted them, but anyway, so the rotary dial took me about a week to retrain my brain that I didn't need to grab a hold of a shifter or I didn't need somewhere to lay my hand while I was driving. Yep. After a week, it's second nature. It's down in that cup holder. So it took a little bit. You kind of have to reach your hand down in a little bit. Yeah. But I will tell you, living with that thing day to day, now that I'm used to it, I find myself laying my wallet there or a bag of chips or something when you're driving. It's just more space. The reason I started with the rotary was I gained a cup holder. And so that was something I missed coming from the Super Duty where it has 4 cup holders back in the early days.
Because I will say cup holders weren't enough in the Lightning for you, Mark?
No, they're really not because you have 2. My wife always has a coffee and a water and then I have nowhere for mine. And that little place in front of your cup makes your cup flop around. And so the next generation, and I'm working with these guys right now, Infotainment, is building a column shifter for the Lightning. It's not out yet, but it's coming, and they're going to send me one. I'm going to do a review video on it. That's going to allow us to have 4 cup holders. So if nobody builds one pretty quick, I'm going to model it up and print it myself.
How many cup holders can you fit in the center console? No, I love it. I think honestly, my favorite. I like the rotary dial. I had it on the Mach-E. I'd say that's my second favorite. And I think a column shifter would be nice, especially like. The old column shifters were different. I mean, it was like, you know, it was nice, like on the old Ford trucks and stuff. I like that. But the Mach-E is not that. It's like a little plastic stick. Yeah. And then you have to, and you're like pushing up to go in reverse, which to me doesn't make sense. Like it's just, I like with the dial, even that makes sense. I turn once, boop, rear. Like, I don't know, something about that is weird. And then there was a couple times I accidentally pulled the parking brake because it's right down where that dial used to be, and you're supposed to push the P on the
like a Tesla
column. So that's parts of it were just me getting not used to it, but I just
I don't know how I think the Mach-E dials. I know the Bronco dial that I put in mine. You can keep spinning it to the right, so it doesn't have a hard stop at each detent.
The Mach-E, my first edition, you could keep spinning as well.
Yeah, and the Escape and the Bronco are the ones that most guys are running that work well. They don't give you a lot of DTCs and problems.
I like the Maverick one too. Is the Maverick the same as the Bronco that has like the rubber on it, kind of?
I'm trying to remember. I have 2 now because I had one from Josh Rogers. He sent me one, and then I have one that I bought off eBay. The Bronco one I like. It's rubber. It's easier to get a hold of, but I think the Maverick has a little bit of a chrome trim around the rubber, so you still have that tactile feel. I know we're getting off base here, what we were going to talk about, but
we always do. But
well, the rotary dial conversion for guys on the line who are listening, most people are doing it because they're afraid their shifter is going to fail, and they do. Right. I mean, it's not just Lightning; it's F150 in general. They have some issues inside. If I ever have one fail on a truck that I'm building, I'm going to tear it down and figure out why that problem is. It's probably something inside that's losing connection or
supposedly it's a sensor.
Yeah.
It's a sensor that loses its ability to communicate, which is why sometimes you'll see guys where the sensor or the shifter is actually completely stuck. But then you'll see some guys where the shifter isn't stuck. It moves, but it doesn't register anything. It just it just
So I'm
blinks. and you
hoping
put it on
to
that.
like Zach and I did on the diverter valve on the hood of the Lightning. We figured out how to fix those. We're hoping to figure out how to fix these shifters too, because it should be a fairly easy fix once you understand what's going on. But for me, that's why a lot of guys do it. But for me, I did it for the cup holder. I wasn't having a problem with my shifter. My shifter's still in the shop and it's good. So,
But you don't have a fry slot now, though, if I'm correct, right?
Noel, the cup holder that with the
It could double as one, but it's not the perfectly shaped like the fry.
No, but it works well for
the
that.
fry holder's pretty good
you
shape
pop that
for
little insert out. It's so big. We're actually, I think there's pros and cons each way.
I put a large fry in my fry holder today, and I ripped off a Monopoly piece, and I felt like I was on a king of the world.
That's awesome.
It's funny because you can design if you didn't want the shifter with that same design cup holder, that fry holder type thing.
So. That's true. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, instead of a cup holder, you could make a fry holder.
Yes.
Okay, now we're talking. All right, Martin, we might have to talk about this in the future.
And I've got 3D printers, so we can do it. But so for the guys, I think that if you want to go, if you're thinking about a rotary dial and it takes about a week for your brain to readjust and then you're used to it. So for me, I really think that was the key.
The rotary still kind of gives you at least some sort of tactile feeling too. I just felt like that column shifter, it doesn't give you any sort of.
You can flip your console over now though with the rotary while you're moving. If your wife wants to stick her laptop up there or something, you can do that. That was a nice, we go down the road and she flips it out. We lay stuff out. I don't because I'm focused on driving, but your passenger can. It gives them a little more space.
I will say I wish for was a little bit more forward thinking with some of their software updates, and there's just no practical reason why they shouldn't allow that shifter to fold down and allow somebody to open up that console
while driving the shifter.
Heck yeah, man.
Dude, no, that's not a Ford thing. That's a government regulation thing. There's no way the government would allow that.
I don't need to put it into park when I'm driving or reverse when I'm driving or neutral when I'm driving.
Maybe if they like with Tesla, they could put it on the screen maybe or something, you know what I mean? And then supplement that, but no.
I wonder if Ford could put it. It's all just wire, right? There's just no actual gears. It's all just wiring. So
well, there's some hardware inside to fold it down, but the connection to the transmission, if you will, we don't have transmissions, but the movement of the vehicle is digital.
But remember, Chris, you're talking about an F-150 basically that was turned electric. We're not talking a ground up,
there's probably
zonal architecture system here.
Yeah, there's probably no.
You're gonna call Bosch and Siemens and whoever Webasto and whoever else built it, and now we need. Yeah, no, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, like
but
there's probably
I like thinking.
There's probably nothing in the screen that would go to a module that would send that signal. Like that whole infotainment screen module probably doesn't in any way have a connection to the same.
Yeah, as we know, sync is very different than.
Yeah. Dreams, man. I like to dream. One day
with skunk works and fun things, maybe, but
yeah.
So speaking of dreams, let's hit that Tesla, and then I've got some stuff to display for you guys.
Let's touch on the affordable Tesla because it feels like we have to, like everybody else is, and we kind of have to at least touch on our thoughts on that new affordable Tesla, and then let's close out the show with Martin's cool adventures because he's finally able to share some of the super secret details, and he's put it into real world use, and I want to see and hear a bit about that. But the controversy this week, which has been interesting because I think for the first time in recent memory, even the Tesla fanboys haven't necessarily been all that enthusiastic.
The only one that kind of reminds me of it a little bit is the rear-wheel drive Cybertruck.
Yes, very true. It's an interesting. It reminds me a lot about that actually. Now
I feel like fanboys were not happy about that one either.
Well,
but I don't think they knew. So like now that there's a second one of those happening, or second and third, if you can include both models, which I think actually Model 3 isn't as bad as Model Y, but it's not good. I don't see a lot of positive feedback. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and we won't go through all of the incredible details. You can go to Kim Java,
Yeah,
you can go
the
to
specs
Kyle
are out
Connor,
there.
you can go to Jeeves, you can they all Everyday Chris. I mean, if you go watch any of those videos, you're gonna get the lowdown. Kyle's will be an hour, Jeeves will be 15 minutes. They're all great. I think my favorite of them is there's a Jeeves when he opens up the Model Y, and he's just like. It's horrific, and it's so awesome. It's such an awesome reveal as he opens up the frunk, and it's this
because the cladding's gone and
the
stuff.
cladding, it's made of some cheap material, and he's just I respect.
They did say I think they released it was 153 pounds is what something like that of material that they were able to get. So I mean, good for them, but yeah, I frunk cladding. I mean, if weatherproofing and stuff, that makes me nervous.
Yeah, it was interesting because they, the 3 was at least in the ballpark of not as bad in terms of what was cut and removed from it. The Y was just weird, man, because the Y had the 3 frunk looks pretty much like the frunk. It's got the glass roof. It's got some things removed. Okay, not a big deal. It's saving you a little bit of money. I don't think it's enough. But whatever. AM/FM radio removed, a couple other things, right? Different wheels.
No seat adjustments, adjusters. You have to do it through the screen.
Manual
manual mirrors, not just the power fold, but the glass.
Yeah,
which is crazy to me.
You can weirdly, the only Model 3, I believe, with a front-facing camera.
Oh, as of right now, yeah.
As of right now.
Yes, yep.
But they'll eventually put forward-facing cameras in all of them.
I think they just said now, as of today or yesterday. I just read a tweet on that actually. That if you order today or yesterday, now they have the front camera. All Model 3s.
So yeah, it's just super interesting. And then the Y strangely has the glass roof, but they put the headliner on there. And then my first.
Did you see that, Martin?
No.
Yeah.
It's a glass roof on the outside, and it's the same glass roof that comes on the Model Y. But they put in a liner on the inside and covered it up.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And the reason they're doing that from vertical integration standpoint, the glass roof is cheaper and easier to assemble and manufacture than a painted roof that you have to rivet or weld on.
That's what they said. They can re-engineer a solution cheaper than covering up. And this is what Kyle Connor said too, and I kind of agree. Why not just leave the glass roof then? Even if it's not quite the margins that you want, it couldn't have been that bad. I mean, it's weird to cover it up.
Full.
No, I get it, but on the Model 3, you didn't do that. You just they removed the acoustic layer instead of removing the, So it's just it was a weird choice to me. It was a weird choice, yeah.
They went back to we talked earlier about Ford, kind of like, we got to get rid of these chargers, we got to get rid of these rims. Well, apparently they had a bunch of old glass laying around. So
yes, I saw that. Yeah.
So the glass, they're using the old legacy Model Y glass, single pane glass
windshield,
that's in my Model Y, and they're using the rear windshield glass that's in my Model Y, and
which is totally different because it's rounded versus squared, rounded. So it's a totally different.
And the hood is the rounded hood, right? So it's like they've got some parts bend stuff, and maybe that's the plan. We're gonna build enough of these cheap ones. We know that they're not gonna stick, but we're gonna go through these old materials that are laying around the factory until we get rid of them. And I don't know, it was just the weirdest vibe, man.
And they invited everybody out, and they all kind of did it at the same time, and it was but they didn't do it until the next day, so everybody knew it was coming, and then they put a wobbly wheel on their Twitter, so it's just
so weird.
Some weird choices. I agree. I think, like you said, it's almost like more of they're trying to get rid of stuff and come out with an affordable model while they can before they release whatever.
Because even the Cybertruck release, when they finally let it, that was kind of weird how that came out. It took 30 minutes for the thing to debut, and then they just rolled some through, and they had owners jumping in. I just thought that was the oddest.
Cybercab was like that as well. That was a very odd release.
Very odd. Now, and it's funny because as a tech company, Tesla kind of knocks it out of the park with their FSD, and even me. I hope I haven't pixelated on everybody tonight because we are now Martin Rebuild's Starlink.
You're doing good.
You're looking great.
Yeah. You had one moment of pixelation, and it was for like 5 seconds, and it's been stellar ever since.
Well, we're getting like 200 down and 40 up here in Kansas now, and that's our slowest. It usually goes 400 down. So
it's
got better internet. But I don't think anybody who has Starlink, if you look at their app, it's very similar to the Tesla app, and everything just works. So I expect releases like this to go like that. It's like that's two different companies. Like the software people.
Well, I think you have in those events. There's a lot of influence from above.
Yeah.
And I think that's evident, right? Like it's very evident when the marketing team is doing what the marketing team is supposed to be doing, right? And when the product team is supposed to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, but then somebody kind of comes in and says, no, this is my, my vision, right? Like this is how I want it to go.
What? That's fine. They're still one of the top EV selling on the planet because of that. So whatever, I like him or not, it's a hell of a car.
No doubt. I think the Cybertruck was where we saw that start to change, right? Like Model 3 and Y, amazing, right? We know the Model Y in particular, right? Like one of the best cars on the planet.
I'm personally not a fan. I think I like
looks wise
better, but yeah.
But it's huge, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. But we were told Cybertruck was probably product of the century, right? And I mean, we know that's just not the case.
All in all,
likes it.
Not selling. I would own
fell in
one
love with it when he
today.
drove it.
I loved the Cybertruck. It's polarizing. I think living with it every day would be like living with a Victoria's Secret supermodel who wore that clothing out in public. Like it's just too much.
Runway model.
It's too much. If she wore the swimsuits to church, you're like, wait a minute. That's the Cybertruck for me. Even though it's ugly,
she was bulletproof.
It's too bold to live with. But I love the truck. I love living with the truck for the 2 days that I have it. So I do not understand how we can knock it as not a truck. The tech's there. I mean, it tows the efficiency. I was getting 2.45 miles per kilowatt hour at 75 miles an hour. I've never been able to do that in a Lightning. So I'm not knocking it, but with all that said, I'm on my 4th Lightning and I still have one. So I'm still at home with the F-150.
Well, and I think that's what exactly it is, right? Like of course it's a truck. People that say it's not a truck, like I don't think people genuinely mean, obviously it's not a truck, as you know, but there are probably some out there that probably feel that way. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the accessories that are available, right? And all those things that Ford has been doing trucks for so long, right? And it's evident, you can tell, there's just certain things that you can tell, but there's no doubt that on the opposite side of the spectrum, you've got Tesla, which is one of the best, if not the best tech company on the planet, right? And probably one of the most advanced, right?
It was tough. I just come off of 2,500 mile road trips, and I didn't have access to all the Tesla network. Where we're on our California trip, we had access to 100% of it. That changes how you travel across the U.S. when you have the whole network. So that was one thing. But I know we're bunny trailing here. But
I drove a Tesla Cybertruck in Chicago actually too.
What'd you think?
Really?
What'd you think?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. My kind of final thoughts were on it. I'm not sure why you would buy one over exactly for the price. Why would you buy one versus what's available now? If we lived in a different world, it'd probably be different. But I sort of thought, why, if I'm not a Tesla fan, why would I buy this?
It's crazy because they are not losing value on the used market or the wreck salvage market. They're supposedly stockpiled up. People aren't buying them.
Yeah.
But I can't get one bought under $40,000 wrecked. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to buy one unless it's 20 grand, like my Lightnings have been. That's what we're roughly given for Lightnings wrecked, is around the 18 to 20 grand range. And the same thing's happening with the Chevy. I got to be honest.
I started getting notifications that my Lightning value is starting to go up again. That's been a while since that's happened. I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
I want a Silverado in some fashion because of the battery. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
As much as I tow and as much as we drive, I really want to go to the Silverado, and they're too expensive. I can't. I watched.
What would you do too if you had a battery go bad? Would you be able to?
Oh yeah.
Fix it? Because Sergio just tried to get his, and they won't open the packs. First of all, the dealers won't let the dealerships open the pack.
People are too scared to open them.
Any dealer they won't let them though. No, any dealer they're not allowing to open. Yeah,
I would open the pack. The problem is if I open the pack, I haven't looked. Can I buy a module from Chevy? I don't think so. Whereas you can from Ford.
I don't think so either. Yeah, because that's what the issue is, right? Because it is modular. It's just they're not using, for some reason, they're not using it as such as a modular platform. But it took him, he said 4 weeks. He just got it. The dealership just got it today.
He had a 24, I believe, and the 24s had, I think
so.
The 24s have a lot of.
He's had it a year, so that
are different. The cooling's different. I know Pat, who was on the channel. I talked to Pat often. Yeah. He had his 24 4WT bought back because of a ton of issues, and his 25 has been, I'm not going to say flawless, but as close as you can get. He has the extended range version, not the max range, and he's getting 430 miles out of the extended range.
I heard today that a Tesla Cybertruck pack was $27,000. How much do you think a Silverado pack is?
The Lightning pack is 40.
Okay.
So to scare you, it's $5,000 a module, my cost.
Yeah, and it's 141, and then Tesla's at 123. So but you're at 220 for the max Silverado
on
220 kilowatt hour.
Well, they won't release it. I've seen videos where they put 213, 214.
Do the math though. You're talking that could be a $65,000 pack.
It could, and that's the scare.
And then they had to ship it. Sergio posted the picture. That was a freight. Yeah. It wasn't. It just blows my mind. They already weren't making money on the truck. Now you're replacing. The one guy is on his fourth battery pack.
Tesla doesn't do that either. Tesla doesn't replace modules ever. Have never do it. They won't.
Right. Yeah, they can't. They don't have modules though, do they?
Yeah, they're just cells in there, right?
No, they're modules. The Model S has full of modules, and they will not.
Model S.
They are sending those packs off and having them remanned.
Yeah, because Y and 3 though are structural though, so I don't think they can do.
There's still modules in there. You can crack them open and do it. Now, people, that could be a whole episode, and we probably should make that an episode about working on batteries. But I've got first-hand experience with the 3 and the S. They are modular, but you can't pull a module out and put a different one in because the calculated amp capacity in each of the cells won't live well with the other ones that were there. Right. They would have to match.
Which I've seen they have issues even on Ford dealers getting modules to match up with the existing batteries.
Well, you take your truck in at 60,000 miles with a bad module and they put a new one in, they're not the same resistance.
Does that chemistry matter in terms of like NMC is more difficult than LFP, or it doesn't matter? Any of those chemistries is equally difficult, or is LFP easier to do that?
As long as you have built up resistance and degradation in a cell, it doesn't matter.
It's going to be hard either way.
Until we get to this new tech where degradation doesn't happen forever, you're going to have a problem with matching up modules.
How do they do that? How do you just like edit the voltage? Does that make sense to make it?
Well, match? You don't. You're putting one in there that's brand new. It has more capacity, so it's going to be limited. And as they charge and discharge, eventually, like on a Model S, if it
just balances out,
throw a module in there, eventually, a year, 6 months, maybe 2 years out, it'll throw the error that they're out of.
I see what you're saying.
There's a lot of companies just taking your Model S back, replacing a bad module because it got water in it or whatever, and it'll run for a while, but we should have Paul Erickson on at some point talking about this because he's got the plethora of information on how to do these. And even he's not taking modules out and putting new modules in. And this guy's the expert, So anyway.
Yeah, that would be a good episode at some point for sure.
So speaking of batteries and capacity, that might be a good segue to what Zach's on. He's listening. What Zach and I, and even Pat was a big part of this in the beginning that we've been working on for a long time.
And feel free to shoot Zach a link if he wants to jump on and chime in, man.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that up front. So this is what we've got. So this is it. We've named it. It's branded. We're working on trying to. It's not out yet. And so when I say it, for the guys that are listening and haven't heard what we've been working on or followed me on any of the groups, we are working on the ability, and it's functional. I'm going to show you some data here, to charge the Lightning with a generator while you are moving down the road. And it works. Now, to kind of kill off some of the you can't do that, whatever. That's correct. When you open the charge port door on a Lightning, it makes the truck has to be in park and it won't let it charge, and all that stuff happens. Ford has done that. We have reverse engineered the system and tied into the CAN network of the truck, and basically spoofed all that stuff, and with the right safety. That's why it's taken us so long to get this right, where you can actually activate the onboard chargers of the truck and have them produce power, and we're tying into that onboard charger with a generator rather than your wall of your house being 110 or 240 or whatever you have. And so that basically lets you use the onboard charger of the truck to provide power into the truck through all of its circuits. So you don't have a cooling issue because that's already tied in and already functional. You don't have an overheating issue. You don't have any of those issues because that's all been taken care of on the Ford side. So EverDrive is a ability to put a bring your own generator style. It'll be a kit that you can install. The reason it's not out yet, we're working on plug and play kits. So when you install this, you don't cut any wires, you don't splice or solder anything. It's unplug this, plug this in between, and you're going. I'm not going to sit here at all and say that Ford's going to love it and they're going to warranty your truck if something goes wrong with something that you installed aftermarket, but that goes for any aftermarket part ever. Now, there is the Magnuson Act that allows people to do aftermarket stuff, and it affects something else. I'm going to say this officially. You are taking your own risk with any aftermarket part, including EverDrive, when you put it on your truck. So with that little caveat.
Jim Farley actually just talked about this the other day, too. I don't know if you guys heard it, but his daughter's husband, I think, put some sort of tuner on his F1. I think it was F150, and I think it was superchargers or something. Mm-hmm. And they're running into the same issue that and it's always a fight, like Martin said. I mean, but I would say, especially with it being battery involved and charging involved, it's not like throwing a lift on. It's a little more.
It's not. No. But now, if you have suspension problems or something not related that they can't prove, then it's, right. There's a bit of an argument.
Just like the shifter too, we've seen too, like people throw,
So that's the other reason why this isn't out, is because we want to test it fully. We want to run this thing as hard as you can and feel confident that we're not going to be out there wrecking people's batteries or wrecking people's wiring harnesses. So we're testing this right now, and we have tested it a bunch. So with that said, here is my F-150 Lightning, and this was the first iteration, and these controls will change. And I'll show you the second gen that Zach is now running. So on the left of the screen, you're seeing kind of the auto start stop version of the generator controls. So to address a couple of things, this screen you're seeing is not factory on the Ford side. This is running Car Scanner through an OBD2 dongle, which we've talked about many times. You can plug it into the port. But these controls are live. So you can have the generator automatically start when you hit a certain speed, have it automatically stop when you hit a certain speed, and that is adjustable. So that mile plus, mile negative, that allows you to do that. And then obviously we got a great big generator start-stop button at the bottom. So if you just want to start it or stop it, this is a little bit of an older setup screen. We've added some things on the screen to tell you when it's charging, how much it's charging, how much you've added. On the right side of your screen is the port that I have installed in the bed of the truck. So on this early version, you do have to put a J1772 port in your truck somewhere. And you'll notice there's another little silver plug below. Currently, we don't have a wireless way to start the generator. So we did run a wire on mine. So there's 2 ports on my truck. We're trying to get away from that. So all you have is a J1772 port. You still run, I'm going to call it your charger. It's called technically an EVSE. So your Emporia, your Tesla, between the generator and your truck. So it's still controlled just like you would if you're plugged in at home. So that will be mounted in the bed of your truck, mounted to the side of your generator, wherever you want. Currently, mine's actually just laying in the bed because I have a tonneau cover and it closes halfway back. But you pop that little cover open, you plug your charger in, you plug the other end into the generator, and you take off down the road. So with that said, we both have been testing this a lot. I ran a trip with a Westinghouse generator that output about 6,500 watts, about 6.5 kilowatts. So not a lot of power, but a significant amount, $1,500 generator. And we gained about 44 miles on a 5-hour drive with a small, I'm going to call it a small generator. That can make or break the difference if you're trying to get to a charger or not sometime. When you go to a generator, a few concerns happen. Number one, exhaust. Number two, noise. Number three, heat. So we've tried to address all of those with this generator. Number one, this is an inverter style generator, the one that has the plastic covers on it. They are considerably quieter. The open frame style, like you would see Grandpa have an old Briggs and Stratton or a Champion or some of those, they'll work. They're just a lot louder. So you're going to feel the vibration through the bed a lot more. You're going to hear it going down the road a lot more. At 70 miles an hour, I can't even hardly hear this generator running in the bed. So this inverter style, this is a Westinghouse that we're running, but there's a bunch of them out there. You can get one at Harbor Freight, the Predator. You put that in the bed and you take off down the road and it adds fuel. So Zach's truck is a standard range. My truck's an extended range. This is a screenshot from the new Gen 2 EverDrive control that shows he's actually set this up to look a lot like the Ford dash that you're used to seeing. Of course, we had to brand it at the top, but this is a trip that he took to Dallas like last week. So I probably can zoom in a little bit, make it, well, maybe not. It's kind of hard to see. Anyway, this is a shot showing he started with 80% state of charge on a standard range battery. So about 80 kilowatts. Let's just round it off. 200 miles in, he still had 15% state of charge. So we are doing a virtual simulated mile per kilowatt hour to kind of give us a layman's look at what if you didn't change the battery size, what your mile per kilowatt hour could be. So on this trip, he was getting 3.3. And again, that's virtual. The efficiency of the truck, let's keep that clear. The efficiency of the truck does not change because you put a generator in the bed. If anything, it goes down because you're carrying more weight. But what you're actually doing is adding kilowatts to the truck. You're adding energy. That's what we're doing. So if your battery on a standard range is 98 kilowatt hours, you add energy. Every hour you run it, you add whatever you put in. So for me, every hour I run my truck, I'm adding 6.5 kilowatts to it. So if I run 4 hours, I added 6.5 kilowatts times 4. Zach's truck's 100 kilowatt roughly battery. He was at 80% capacity. And so you either extend the GOM, which he did. He's got a little in the middle of the screen there. He had 53 miles remaining on a standard range. This was charging on a big Duramax, 11,000 watt, 11 kilowatt. At 80%, he was going to have a 250 mile range on the highway at 75 miles an hour. So super impressive range. If he had started with 100%, he would have gotten about 350 miles out of that tank.
Out of a standard range.
Yeah. The extended range should be closer to 500, 450 to 500.
And that's at freeway speed?
That's at 75 mile. This is a trip to Dallas on the turnpike from Oklahoma to Dallas. So we're talking highway speeds in the wind. There's nothing buffered here to try to make this look better. None of this 1,000-mile Chevrolet Silverado at 25 miles an hour stuff.
With 65 PSI in the tires or whatever they did.
This is on a 102,000 mile standard range 22 Lightning with 70,000 mile wore out Michelin premises. I mean, it's not optimized. His truck is lifted in the front. It doesn't have the active air dam. So it's not efficient, but he's effectively getting 3.3 with the generator. So we're just showing that virtual efficiency, if you will, because we want to be able to show people what it can do. Because most people understand the efficiency number. If you go bad tires, like all this conversation we had earlier on tires, you see it in that efficiency number. So we had to build this a virtual efficiency to try to give the layman an idea to do it. Because just showing the GOM, everybody knows the GOM can be off. If you drive 45 miles an hour every day, your standard range can show 310 miles. If you're driving 70 miles or 80 miles an hour, that can show 180 miles. So the GOM will adjust, but your efficiency is real every time you drive. So we built this virtual efficiency to show that. So
yeah, I mean, you're basically making yourself an e-rev, an
it
e-rev
is.
range
It really
extender
is.
for someone that
So
maybe tows once a month, and you're just like, man, I need to
tows,
be able to
or you're going on a long trip and you're going to go through areas where there's chargers
no
and you don't,
charging.
or in the winter. The winters in Canada, if you got a 180-mile run to make in the winter in the cold, this will give you that buffer. And if you slow down enough, your range is basically infinite. I mean, we're talking gas station stops in the generator. Now, when I say slow down enough, the Lightning pulls about 30 to 35, let's say 35 kilowatts of power just running down the road. So you'd need a 35 kilowatt generator to maintain 70 miles an hour just all the time. But with 11 kilowatts, it's about a third. So if you drop down to 30 miles an hour, you could almost go forever.
Yeah.
So not that that's the goal. That's not our goal. Our goal is to be able to take towing trips and keep a view from being 110 miles, or get 350, 400, 500 miles where you're not stopping as often on a regular Lightning. Chris, you experienced that coming across those windy Kansas, some 1.3 mile per kilowatt hour.
That was crazy.
Stretches.
Yeah, in like
you weren't towing.
in warmer weather, not even in the
Not
cold.
even in the cold. So this will kind of open up some of that window for a lot of guys. We so far have only tested this in the bed of the Lightning. I always run my tailgate up. Zach's been running his down, so we're doing different stuff. I really think that another good option is going to be like a hitch carrier, the one you'd plug in the receiver hitch and put it right on the back. So you're not listening to it, you don't hear it. There's no opportunity for fumes to come back up if you're one that likes to run your back window open. I am planning to get a big generator and mount on the tongue of the trailer, so it's permanent mounted. Like anytime I hook up to that trailer, I can plug in EverDrive, and now it's just right there with me, ready to go. So lots of stuff coming, lots more testing. I have a video that I'm about halfway through edited that shows my first drive pulling my boat, and there will be a lot more coming on this. So I think everybody's going to have we're hoping to shoot for first quarter of next year to have this out. The trouble right now is getting the connectors sourced so it's plug and play. Ford has those locked down, so we're gonna have to build our own connectors that will interface with the onboard chargers. Once we get through that, then it's just a matter of sourcing stuff at where we can make a little bit of money off this. We're not trying to make a killing, but we're planning to sell the kit as a kit, and then you bring your own generator. So if you got one, Grandpa's got one. A lot of people have generators. I mean, it's pretty common. And you'll have to have a generator.
What is the biggest ego power station that they make? It's probably not enough. It's probably not, but I'm just like thinking about it. I'm like,
no, that is a good point. So you don't, with EverDrive, it doesn't matter the source.
Yeah.
It right now is working off of AC power.
Because like you could use like cooking
Batteries.
oil too. Like, I mean, if or batteries. Yeah. Like you could, it doesn't matter how you get it done as long as it.
As long as you put power in. And right now, let's be clear. Right now, EverDrive is an AC input, just like you would get from your house. So you have to have an AC input. We have talked about going direct current, but that's a whole different safety factor and a whole different thing when you're tying into the direct current wires of the high voltage battery. So we're not going there right now. This is using the same protocols and the same safety that's built into the EVSE at your house. You're just putting it in the bed of the truck and you're fueling it with gasoline. Now,
energy to density, like it probably doesn't make sense to do battery, but
it could.
It's fun to think about.
It depends on the size of the generator. So, like my 6.5 kilowatt generator that got me 44 miles of range on that 5-hour drive, that's a 20 kilowatt battery. That's not a very big battery. So now there's going to be losses converting from DC back to AC and then back to DC. So you're going to have some losses. So a 30 kilowatt battery could get you, 50 to 60 miles extra range, and you don't have to listen to a generator. You don't have to put gas in. And I'm going to test that too. We haven't got to that point yet. Right now, generators are cheap. Gasoline is everywhere. I personally don't like putting gasoline in a generator in my Lightning. It feels wrong, but it does work, and it does give you a lot of range. So if you love the power of electric, but you wish Ford had built it into a hybrid, and there are guys out there that I've had guys tell me they agree with this. Some people don't. The Power Boost is a hybrid, but not really. It's really a gas truck. So, in a perfect world, I would have thought that Ford's direction would have been about a 80 to 90 kilowatt hour battery, like the Scout's going to be with a generator where you can run it on strictly electric if you want, and then on road trips be able to kick that generator on and run it so you don't have to stop as much. That is I think the number 2 reason why Lightnings didn't sell 100,000 a year. They sold 100,000 so far. You know, that and cost. Cost is, I think, the number 1. But so we're trying to, if you can take and buy a $5,000 generator, and I'm going to say an EverDrive kit. I have no idea when it's going to retail for. People are asking us. We don't know because we don't have our marketing costs out, or our source costs out yet. Let's say it's $2,000, and I don't know that it will be. It might be 4, it might be 1, but let's say it's $2,000. So you got $7,000 added to your $55,000 Lightning. That's a lot cheaper than a Silverado, and we're talking Silverado range numbers. So again, lots of considerations here.
For something that you don't lug around all the time.
No,
which is
take it out,
we've
put it
talked
in the garage.
about. Yeah, like you're not lugging around all that extra weight that usually, at least most people, don't need 99% of the time.
That's correct. Even me, I want a Silverado, but I don't want it all the time. A standard range Lightning works me for day to day. I just want to be able to go further. So I really think the guys who already have the standard range, this is going to be a great option. You put 11 kilowatt generator and use the onboard 11 kilowatt charger. You can really
save $10,000 to buy that, vehicle to begin with.
Yeah, and then you have a perfect truck that's lighter and it costs you less up front. The 22 and 23 Lightnings that have the 19 kilowatt onboard charger, that's next for us. We're going to try to push 19 kilowatts through this. We'll be 500 to 650 miles on that truck range with the 19 kilowatt input, depending on all the factors we talked about tonight, tires and lifts and all that stuff makes a difference. So anyway, I just wanted to share a couple of these photos so people can kind of see what we've been working on. And if you, I don't want to plug myself, but we'll follow Martin Rebuilds because there's going to be some videos coming up showing all this coming out. We have a lot of people that we've been working with. I know Zach has he's got a few guys. I don't want to call him out specifically, but we have a northern friend who expressed some interest in running this. I'll just say that. And we're going to try to pick a few guys that we feel like can help us test that, kind of a smaller group, kind of like Ford does with their early access program. That, you know, I don't want just everybody out there because you really almost have to have an engineering mindset, because there's some things that we have had that have went wrong, like generator wouldn't start, it keeps shutting off, or charger was overloaded, and nothing serious, no safety issues, but things you have to be able to think through. So look for this next year. Follow my YouTube channel. You'll see a lot more on this soon. So,
yeah, it's just cool to see a proof of concept and know that you put miles on it and that it conceptually did what you hoped it could do. And then it's just finding out how to kind of polish it out. And for those that need it.
So, you know, this one was, you know, his latest dashboard looks fantastic. Down in the lower right, I don't know if you can see that 32.78. That is how many kilowatts he added over that 200 miles. 32 kilowatts. That is, you know, a lot. That's a big deal. Over 200 miles. So anyhow,
1/3 basically of a standard range pack almost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially at 32, 33. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And that's with 11 kilowatts. So on some of the trucks that can handle 18 or 19, the generator is going to be more expensive, but you should really get some big range out of it. But, you know, I think most people don't. All of us, I put a poll up on the Facebook group, probably, you know, I don't remember what it was. It was like a year ago, asking guys, if you could extend your battery, would you? Warranty concerns, all that. 66% of the people that answered said they don't want to change anything. And then a lot of them said, I'm not going to do it because of warranty concerns. But we had 20% of the polling that said, yeah, I want this. So if I sold even half of that, 10% to 100,000 Lightnings, that's 10,000 guys that would like their truck better. So we'll see. But so far, we're still pushing forward. A lot more testing to go, and hopefully we get it out and actually see this helping the Lightning world. And honestly, there's not really a limit to this. Once the Lightning has been proven, there's no reason why we couldn't move this to the Mach-E, move this to a Rivian.
Where'd you put the generator if it was a Mach-E?
A Mach-E would be on a hitch carrier. It'd be on a hitch carrier on the back.
Oh, okay.
I have one. I'm planning. We were planning on a road trip. We were
People
talking
do it.
about-
You have that little hidden one that pops out or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the little receiver hitch, and then you just put
Yeah.
a Harbor Freight makes an aluminum one for like a couple $100. You just slide in, strap the generator to it, ever drive it up, and you're running, 400 or 500 miles in a Mach-E.
That's
Put it on the
bold.
back of a BMW i3 and the thing.
They're a couple hundred pounds. The generators aren't that heavy, so an aluminum hitch carrier. Now, the Lightning, I don't catch any crap because you can't really tell that I'm not just got a guy that has something in his bed. But Zach's early videos had our cord running over the top of the truck into the charge port, and that lit up Instagram or Twitter. It was like, oh man. People thought it was fake. It was all kind. It was
I think I saw that picture. I don't think I realized that was him.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna run a charge cable all the way to the front charge port, you just might as well be all in. You need to put like a light, an LED light that has like a chase light on it that's just like throwing light.
So it looks like the energy's going in.
Yeah. You might as well just be.
I know Zach's listening. You get on that, Zach.
Yeah. You might as well just.
I'm curious who could take the smallest LFP Mach-E pack and throw it in the back of a Lightning, and then you have a 800-mile truck.
That's happened. It's all about
maybe not that much. But
Lightnings are typically 2.0. So if you have a 60 kilowatt pack, it gives you 120 extra miles. So that's Pat has done that. He's put a leaf
plus
pack
the generator.
Well, he's SR swapped to an ER Lightning, and then he put a leaf pack in the back, and then he put an 80 kilowatt Proterra pack in the back. That's my preference. Here's my problem with adding juice in the bed in form of a battery and a Lightning. When you stop to charge, it's still at the same rate you're charging. So you're just there longer. So
what if you have to stop really fast? You better hope that battery's strapped in really well.
Exactly. And so that was another thing. The generator's strapped in, but it's just straps right now.
How do you handle cooling? How do you handle cooling?
So you mean on a battery pack?
Yeah.
You would okay, so a leaf pack, you don't want to charge back to back. Leaf packs don't have active cooling anyway. But on like a Mach-E or a Tesla pack, you would have to tie that into the factory cooling, which I was going to do early on. I was going to take and tee into there's coolant lines right below the bed, just tee into those and let them flow through the pack. Now you're going to have to burp out all the air and add a lot.
I was going to say you'd have to add more coolant, right?
Yeah, quite a bit more. So I mean, any of that stuff has been done and doable. It's not something you see every day, but we had a couple of guys that extended the range to Rivian. I'm not going to give out any names or any specifics, but a huge range out of a Rivian by adding a pack. So, I mean, it all has been done in the background that these guys that are electrical engineers that know this. I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm more the mechanical guy. But Zach being an electrical engineer, figuring out this charge while driving EverDrive system was a ton of work, a lot of reverse engineering. And to be honest, you talked about ChatGPT. He did a lot of the source coding back figuring through ChatGPT. It works pretty well for finding code.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Anyway, that's what I had. I know we're right at time, but I know that's people are going to have comments or questions about that. Anybody hits me up on Facebook for sure, and I'll try to answer. Nothing is available yet, but it's.
And I think we're becoming more available now too as people. So hopefully we can do more podcasts and episodes and. There'll be further updates. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully I'm here next week. I have some carpal tunnel surgery scheduled on Friday, so I'm hoping that doesn't take me down for a month. But that's so. Hopefully I'm here next week for us.
Cool.
Yeah, I hope that goes well, man.
I think it's fine. I mean, I guess it's a totally different surgery than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, you got both hands, right? Both hands
at once. They say I'm crazy. Yeah, both hands at once. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I thought that had two knee replacements.
My biggest fear is the toilet, and I bought one of those strap bolt-on bidets so I can use the bathroom.
There you go.
Next on Martin Rebuilds, we install a bidet.
I'm telling you.
Are those module as well? Or those module architecture? Or
they have those that are heated now.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, man. A blower, dryer,
the whole deal.
It's wild. Wow.
We're gonna precondition our bidet.
Yeah. Built right into the Ford.
Like and subscribe for more bidet content.
Ever bidet.
Ever bidet.
Every day. Good one.
That's great, guys.
On that,
Well,
I think we've
yeah.
wore our audience plumb out with the bad jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Oh, that's great.
All right.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, how do we end it off with that?
How do we close that out?
So next week on Martin Rebuild.
Have a good day, everybody.
Oh God, that's great.
Oh
No, that was fun though, guys. Great episode, super fun, and I'm glad to be back in the Lightning. So that's good.
Sweet.
It was a week. I was sad, even though I had the Mach-E. You still sad. So
it's a different experience.
It's fun to drive the other stuff, but the Lightning always feels like
dude. I will be real though. Getting back in the Lightning and driving it, I was like, this thing's big. You just forget like
compared to the Mach-E.
Yeah, I'll throw this in real quick. Is that so my wife's going on a trip and we're about to run out of FSD time for the free thing. So I spent a number of days in the Y, and so I wanted to get some time in with it. So I spent a bunch of days and just FSD and the thing everywhere, and then I got back into the Lightning. And yes, that first initial thing, oh my God, like I'm way up here. It's so
heavy.
Big. And there were just all these cool moments. There was cool moments both ways too, where my wife had spent 3+ weeks in the Y, and then she comes home and she's like, I can't get the truck to shut off. And I go out there and I'm like, babe, it's not the Tesla. You have to hit the button. And it's how quick you're spoiled and how quickly you forget. And it was both adorable and cute and funny at the same time. And
I love it.
Yeah, so it is funny how you only spend a few days in
it doesn't take long.
Doesn't take long to adjust, and you dabble in the Cybertruck, you dabble in the Model Y, you dabble in the Mach-E, but it's the Lightning that just still continues to feel like just the best dang truck, man. I mean, it's been around, it's largely unchanged except on the margin, but it shows how well it was done. I mean, the 22 was the first year, but engineering wise, I mean, it was probably done in 2021.
So durable.
Yeah.
You hear about modules and things. We talked about that a little bit tonight, but most people don't have that problem.
Yeah.
And it's such a durable truck. I mean, for a first year, it's like they nailed it.
And Tom Malogny's talked about his same range, and I know there's a buffer, et cetera, but it's a great engineering truck, man. Kudos to Ford, and
absolutely.
It's going to take a lot to get me out of the Lightning, and just in terms of a daily driver, there's a lot of things that do X or Y better, but as a total package, what I want to get into and drive every day.
I was telling the guy at the dealer that today. I'm like, it's just, he's asked me, I've had a Mach-E, I've had a Bronco, ICE F-150's power boost. I'm like, still, man, I never actually bought the same vehicle again. I guess I did once with F-150s, but with the, F-150 to power boost. But like, other than that, for me personally, I never had bought the same vehicle again. And this was the first vehicle where I was like, there's nothing that beats it right now that I could go to and say, okay, this handedly takes
the only thing that I want is more range, hence EverDrive. But I would love to go to the Silverado only for range, but there's a lot of stuff. When I went and drove that that Sierra Denali, it's louder and it's slower and it torque steers, and there's no pet mode. There's no way to keep. I mean, so many.
And we complain about the difference of weight between the standard range and the extended range Lightning. Think of the weight difference between the extended range Lightning and a Silverado. I mean, it's very
9,100 pounds. It's like driving a 3/4 ton. So you may see one on Martin Rebuilds some point. They're still too expensive right now, and I'm not going to give that kind of money for a truck. But I always get back in the Lightning, like you said, and it feels like home.
Yep.
Absolutely. I felt that way about all F-150s, to be honest, but the Lightning is
the best
at the top of the list. With the independent rear suspension and electric and all that. Yeah, it's hard to beat.
All right, guys.
That was fun.
We'll close it out there. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.